Welcome to your next video. Let's go ahead and get started and let's start working with Git. To do this, I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code and I'm going to create a new folder. Remember to open up a new folder, we go to File and then Open Folder. I have already created the folder Git. This is the folder that we will be working with. Inside this folder, I created another folder called Local Repo. This is the folder where all our code will be taking place in. It represents our local repository. So in here, I will create two files. The first file I'll call .project. The second file, I'm going to call it calc.py. Remember, .py represents a Python extension, and this is the Python file that we will be working with. I already have some code, and this code will look familiar to you. It's just some basic calculations, functions that our functions are expected to do. You can go ahead and pause this video and copy these functions now. Alright, now in order to start using Git, we will have to initialize the repository. The command to do this is git init. Now we need to be careful because right now we're in the Git directory. We want our Git project to be inside this local repo. So we're going to change our directory to this local repo. And inside this local repo, we're going to do a git init to initialize the Git. Now it says initialized empty Git repository. Now, when you open your folder and you go into local repo, you guys won't be able to see this because .git is a hidden file, but I have set my Windows folders up so you can view hidden files, and I just want to show you guys. This is not necessary for you, it's just a way for me to show you guys that this .git folder has been created. Now, this .git folder contains everything related to our repository. If we open it up, it has a bunch of files. But anyways, the important thing to know, this is what is going to track our project with Git. And if we ever want to stop tracking our project with Git, all we would have to do is delete this .git folder. Now, we're running Git, but we haven't committed anything yet. Before we commit, let's run this git status command. This will show you all your untracked files. For example, we have a .project file that's untracked and a calc.py file that's untracked. Now, I told you guys to create this .project file as an example of a file that we don't want other people to see. There could be many reasons for this. An example is, let's say our .project file stores all our preferences like font color and size and such. We don't want to change other people's preferences, and they have no need to see our preferences, so we don't want this file to be seen. What we have to do now is create a .gitignore file. So let's go ahead and create a new file and call it .gitignore. This .gitignore file tells Git to ignore certain files. In this file, we're going to put .project as a file we want Git to ignore. Another file we're going to do is star.pyc. You can use wild tags like stars in these gitignore files. The pyc is just a Python class file, and it's not necessary to upload in Git. So what we're saying is any file that ends with the extension .pyc will be ignored as well. Let's save this and go ahead and run git status once again. As you can now see that this .project file has been removed from this untracked files list. Instead, a .gitignore file has been added. We need this gitignore file to be tracked because this is what will tell our Git repository which files to not track. Let's do a review of what we just did. So we initialized the repository from existing code. To initialize a repository, we need to do the git.init command. And before we've committed anything, we checked with git status to see which files are untracked. Then we created a gitignore file in order to remove the files that are unnecessary to be tracked, before checking again with git status to make sure that our current files that are untracked are the files that we want to track. Now, let's take a look at where we are currently. There are 3 stages in Git. You have the working directory, the staging area, and the committed files. Right now we're in our working directory. So untracked and modified files will be in our working directory, and when we run git status, it will show those. The staging area is where we can pick up and choose what we want to be committed. If you have multiple files and you want to commit those, what you can do is break them up into chunks and commit them one chunk at a time. So now that we know about the staging area, let's go ahead and add files to the staging area. We will try this in our next video. Thank you for watching.